Introduction to the Knowledge of Self. With Vocabulary Definition. Lesson 2, GT, 8G. July 4, 2023. Greetings, everyone. If you've made it this far, it means you have the bravery to delve into understanding yourself. In our last class, I asked, what's the secret to inner satisfaction? And what does inner satisfaction mean? Is it being content and joyful despite tough situations? Some argue this state doesn't exist. It's now my job to help you become aware of the forces that shape our life experiences. This material may seem complex, but thanks to your openness and curiosity, you'll gradually grasp it. So, don't worry. Just be patient. As I mentioned earlier, many of you might think good health, strong relationships, a pleasant environment, and financial stability are prerequisites for peace and joy. I agree that these factors enhance our lives. Many people have obtained these blessings too. Most of us either accept our circumstances or strive to acquire what we think will make us whole or better. We've learned about success and how to achieve it, like starting a business, attending college, exercising, eating well, and securing a good job. Some resort to illegal or unethical means. While I never support illegal or unethical behavior, I do encourage those who work hard to improve their lives. Despite our efforts to reach our goals, the harsh reality of life makes it harder to succeed. Now, we ask, does life's harsh reality affect our attitude as we pursue a goal? And another question arises, what exactly is life's harsh reality? Vocabulary. Courage, the ability to face difficulties or danger without fear. Inner, relating to the self or one's thoughts and feelings. Fulfillment, the achievement of something desired, promised, or predicted. Continuous, happening without interruption or break. Peace, a state of tranquility or calmness. Joy, a feeling of great pleasure or happiness. Adverse, unfavorable or harmful. Dictating, determining or commanding. Receptivity, the willingness to listen or accept new ideas or suggestions. Interest, curiosity or attention. Complicated, difficult to understand or analyze. Prerequisites, something that must be done or obtained beforehand. Quality, the standard of something as measured against other things of a similar kind. Acquire, to obtain or gain possession of something. Blessings, things that bring happiness, well-being, or good fortune. Illegal, not allowed by law. Unethical, morally wrong or dishonest. Conduct, behavior or action. Harsh, severe or cruel. Reality, the state of things as they actually exist. Today's discussion will start with the second question. For instance, having to work extra hours to pay bills can be considered a part of life's harsh reality. Likewise, studying diligently to pass a class can be seen as an aspect of life's harsh reality. Working with unpleasant people can also fall under life's harsh reality. Additionally, extreme weather conditions, whether too cold or too hot, can be seen as part of life's harsh reality. We can say that life's harsh reality surrounds us. A crucial inquiry emerges: can we make life's harsh reality less severe? This can be rephrased as, can life's experiences have a less intense impact on us? It can also be posed as, is our emotional response to life's experiences too delicate? We observe others who navigate through similar situations as us but seem to handle it better. Perhaps their biology and psychology differ from ours, or maybe their environment is more conducive for them than it is for most of us. Since we naturally tend to interpret others' actions based on our own reality and emotions, we struggle to accept that we are simply different. What may seem logical or rational to you is based on your own experiences and understanding of what is considered real. Certainly, many individuals may agree with our interpretations of situations. We might even say that most people we know share a similar understanding of proper behavior, respect, morality, as well as immoral or incorrect behavior. Most people we know recognize certain behaviors as inappropriate in one context and appropriate in another. The same principle applies. Why do the majority of people we know interpret people's behavior and life situations in the same way as we do? Is it because it sounds logical, correct, and acceptable to them, just as it does to us? The challenging aspect of this shared perception of reality is that there are numerous alternative ways to perceive and approach situations that remain unseen to us. Being aware of our emotional responses to situations will help us realize that much of our thinking and behavior is automatic. This implies that we live a reactive life, automatically responding to most situations without being aware that our behavior is learned. Vocabulary: overtime, additional hours worked beyond regular working hours. Harsh, severe or cruel. Studying, dedicating time and effort to learn and understand a subject. Unpleasant, not enjoyable or agreeable. Biological, relating to living organisms and their functions. Psychological, relating to the mind and mental processes. Interpret, to understand or explain the meaning of something. Rational, based on reason or logic. Emotional, relating to feelings and emotions. Delicate, easily damaged or sensitive. Context, the circumstances or conditions in which something occurs. Principle, a fundamental truth or guideline. Majority, the greater number or part. Perception, the way in which something is understood or interpreted. Alternative, a different option or choice. Reactive, responding to stimuli or situations rather than being proactive. Automatic, happening spontaneously or without conscious thought. Learned, acquired or gained knowledge or skills. We shape our perception of reality based on how we define situations, things, and feelings. We were taught thousands of adjectives, like oppressive, harsh, depressive, and favorable, to help us navigate reality. These learned words influence the reality we perceive. For example, if you lose your purse or wallet, most people would use adjectives like sad, unfortunate, or depressive to describe the expected emotional impact. By interpreting the situation with those adjectives, our emotions align with the defined emotional state. Let's consider the emotion of sadness in a person. This state is reflected in loss of muscle tone, lowered posture, looking away or downwards, and more. Feeling sad or experiencing negative emotions due to losing something important is seen as natural, and our body adapts to match that emotional definition. Therefore, our behavior is influenced by adjectives defining specific emotional states, and our emotions shape our reality. A system that links happiness solely to external possessions can be used to manipulate people. Believing that happiness lies in material objects or emotional displays reduces human dignity to bondage. Depriving individuals of certain items can drive them to engage in unethical behavior. Understanding the social system we've been indoctrinated into reveals the widespread human abuses that affect all aspects of our lives. Social expectations, such as wearing name-brand items, living in a nice place, having an attractive partner, or traveling the world, have deeply impacted certain individuals. This influence has led to criminal activities like scheming, murder, theft, drug distribution, etc., becoming commonplace. Even individuals seeking fleeting satisfaction, such as going to clubs or casinos, and possessing expensive items like jewelry, apparel, or perfumes, may engage in these activities. The complexity lies in understanding the origins of such behavior. We can question, for example, why living surrounded by luxury is deemed necessary for satisfaction. Were people born with these desires, or were they taught to desire them? I recognize that many individuals with Christian values won't compromise their moral standards for material gain. Some find contentment in humble living conditions. Vocabulary. Perception, the way in which something is understood or interpreted. Adjectives, descriptive words that modify or describe nouns. Depressive, causing or characterized by a state of sadness or low mood. Emotional, relating to feelings and emotions. Accommodate, to adjust or adapt to something. Posture, the position or alignment of the body. Behavior, the way in which a person acts or conducts themselves. Control, to have power or authority over something. Incentive, a motivating factor or reason. Material, relating to physical objects or possessions. Manipulation, influencing or controlling someone or something cleverly or unfairly. Dignity, the state or quality of being worthy of respect or honor. Depriving, preventing someone from having or using something. Unethical, morally wrong or dishonest. Protocol, a set of rules or procedures. Impact, the effect or influence of something. Criminal, relating to or involved in illegal activities. Satisfaction, the feeling of contentment or fulfillment. Desire, a strong feeling of wanting or wishing for something. Contentment, a state of happiness or satisfaction. We shape our perception of reality based on how we define situations, things, and feelings. We were taught thousands of adjectives, like oppressive, harsh, depressive, and favorable, to help us navigate reality. These learned words influence the reality we perceive. For example, if you lose your purse or wallet, most people would use adjectives like sad, unfortunate, or depressive to describe the expected emotional impact. By interpreting the situation with those adjectives, our emotions align with the defined emotional state. Let's consider the emotion of sadness in a person. This state is reflected in loss of muscle tone, lowered posture, looking away or downwards, and more. Feeling sad or experiencing negative emotions due to losing something important is seen as natural, and our body adapts to match that emotional definition. Therefore, our behavior is influenced by adjectives defining specific emotional states, and our emotions shape our reality. A system that links happiness solely to external possessions can be used to manipulate people. Believing that happiness lies in material objects or emotional displays reduces human dignity to bondage. Depriving individuals of certain items can drive them to engage in unethical behavior. Understanding the social system we've been indoctrinated into reveals the widespread human abuses that affect all aspects of our lives. Social expectations, such as wearing name-brand items, living in a nice place, having an attractive partner, or traveling the world, have deeply impacted certain individuals. This influence has led to criminal activities like scheming, murder, theft, drug distribution, etc., becoming commonplace. Even individuals seeking fleeting satisfaction, such as going to clubs or casinos, and possessing expensive items like jewelry, apparel, or perfumes, may engage in these activities. The complexity lies in understanding the origins of such behavior. We can question, for example, why living surrounded by luxury is deemed necessary for satisfaction. Were people born with these desires, or were they taught to desire them? I recognize that many individuals with Christian values won't compromise their moral standards for material gain. Some find contentment in humble living conditions. Vocabulary. Perception, the way in which something is understood or interpreted. Adjectives, descriptive words that modify or describe nouns. Depressive, causing or characterized by a state of sadness or low mood. Emotional, relating to feelings and emotions. Accommodate, to adjust or adapt to something. Posture, the position or alignment of the body. Behavior, the way in which a person acts or conducts themselves. Control, to have power or authority over something. Incentive, a motivating factor or reason. Material, relating to physical objects or possessions. Manipulation, influencing or controlling someone or something cleverly or unfairly. Dignity, the state or quality of being worthy of respect or honor. Depriving, preventing someone from having or using something. Unethical, morally wrong or dishonest. Protocol, a set of rules or procedures. Impact, the effect or influence of something. Criminal, relating to or involved in illegal activities. Satisfaction, the feeling of contentment or fulfillment. Desire, a strong feeling of wanting or wishing for something. Contentment, a state of happiness or satisfaction. So, even though the false belief that a fulfilling life relies solely on external possessions is widely spread through social connections, many individuals find contentment in simplicity. Some choose to live this way due to their moral principles, while others do so to avoid serious consequences. An individual who upholds moral principles will always enjoy a respectable social standing compared to someone who neglects morality as a priority. Regardless of the driving force behind an individual's behavior, it ultimately boils down to learned patterns. Our behavior is shaped in such a way that we can only make choices based on the available options presented to us. Our decisions must align with our inner emotions, as we act according to how we feel. The key to understanding how our emotions influence our choices lies in programmed behavior. Through regular introspection, the practice of self-awareness, we can uncover our automatic responses to various life situations. This process reveals that our emotions trigger physiological reactions, essentially guiding our reactive existence. During our daily routines, introspection allows us to observe the muscle contractions that occur in response to different events, with the intensity of tension corresponding to their perceived importance. The stress experienced when insulted will differ greatly from that experienced when intimidated. By practicing introspection, we become aware of the varying levels of tension our bodies endure throughout life's experiences. In future lectures, I will delve deeper into the practice of introspection, discussing how it enables us to eliminate undesirable behaviors such as shyness, fearfulness, and aggressiveness, while cultivating desirable traits like self-confidence, composure, and dedication. Through introspection, we gain insights into the different states of being we transition into as we navigate through our daily lives. The crucial realization is that our inner state is contingent on external circumstances. We have been programmed to respond in such a manner. Our biases strongly influence our predisposition to action. We may unconsciously exhibit unfair attitudes or behaviors towards marginalized individuals in society. For example, as a dark-complexioned Dominican man entered Food Town and walked at a regular pace, a Mexican employee pushing a hand truck with boxes began slamming the boxes loudly, seemingly urging the Dominican man to move faster. Such discriminatory behavior would likely not have occurred if a white person had entered the store. Where does this biased behavior originate? Are we inherently inclined to favor certain groups while bowing down to those we perceive as superior or equal to us? Vocabulary: fulfilling, satisfying, or bringing about a sense of completion. Possessions: things that someone owns or has in their possession. Contentment: a state of being satisfied or at peace. Morality: principles or values concerning right and wrong conduct. Neglect: to disregard or fail to consider. Patterns: recurring or repeated behaviors or actions. Reactive: responding to stimuli or events rather than initiating action. Physiological: relating to the functions and processes of the body. Intensity: the degree or strength of something. Tension: mental or emotional strain or stress. Perceived: understood or interpreted in a certain way. Undesirable: not wanted or favorable. Traits: distinguishing qualities or characteristics. Composure: calmness or self-control. Cultivating: fostering or developing. Insights: deep understanding or perceptions. Contingent: dependent on or influenced by something else. Unconsciously, without being aware or intentional. Marginalized: treated as insignificant or peripheral in society. Biased: having a preference or prejudice for or against something or someone. Inherently, in a characteristic or innate manner. Inclined: feel willing or favorably disposed toward an action, belief, or attitude. Also, when considering the question of reality, perceiving life with a preconceived mindset leads to inflexibility and an inability to adapt. Now that we have discussed how events in our daily routines impact our bodies both internally and externally based on external circumstances, let's also address a continuous state of being or chronic negative emotional conditions like chronic depression or anxiety. Life events can evoke temporary or chronic negative emotions in us. Have you ever encountered someone who is always angry, worried, or sad? When these conditions arise, our inner and outer selves undergo certain changes that are given specific names such as depression or anxiety. In such cases, we experience reality while trapped in that particular emotional state. Whether the emotional experience is deemed positive or negative, the individual under the influence of such emotions will make choices influenced by their emotional state. We could say that the individual is driven by a certain energy. The frequency at which someone experiences depression, anxiety, sadness, etc., determines the frequency at which they vibrate. These concepts may be unfamiliar to many individuals, so further explanation is necessary. We are aware that the repetition of any skill becomes an automatic internal process. Consider when you learn to write or read. Initially, you familiarized yourself with the subject matter. Through repeated practice, you were eventually able to do it naturally, as if it came effortlessly to you. Similarly, from the moment we began to express ourselves in the world, we learned everything through repeated exposure. We learned to speak in a manner similar to those who taught us. While learning to speak, we also absorbed aspects of people's personalities. Once internalized, replicating these learned behaviors or language became automatic and natural. Through the learning process, the worldview of those who taught us is transmitted directly and indirectly to our unconscious selves. Consequently, you and those who have been indoctrinated with the same worldview understand the world in a similar way. While disagreements may arise on certain issues, your understanding will align. You won't often hear someone say, for example, "Why is your perception of reality based on your feelings?" Most people won't question you in that manner. It is rare for someone to ask, "Why are you using your intellectual and emotional faculties to your detriment?" Further elaboration on this topic will be necessary. Understanding this work requires steadfast perseverance and patience, even though it is provided free of charge, in order to convey this delicate information to the reader. By reading this material, you are beginning to contemplate how you experience reality. You might even reach the point of questioning whether it is you who experiences reality or if you have been taught how to experience it. To gain a clearer understanding of the subject matter, it is crucial to provide examples from various perspectives. For instance, whatever event you are experiencing will be greatly influenced by your emotional condition at that moment. If you happen to become irritated for any reason, your usual intellectual and emotional abilities for performing tasks will also be affected. In other words, if you allow yourself to be consumed by a set of bodily changes known as irritation, your normal performance will be significantly impacted. Vocabulary: preconceived, formed or developed beforehand. Inflexibility, the quality of being rigid and unwilling to change. Chronic, ongoing or persisting for a long time. Emotion, a strong feeling such as happiness, sadness, or anger. Trapped, confined or unable to escape. Deemed, considered or judged. Vibrate, to move rapidly back and forth. Unfamiliar, not known or recognized. Repetition, the act of doing something repeatedly. Automatic, happening without conscious thought or effort. Indoctrinated, taught or influenced to accept certain beliefs or ideas. Weltanschauung, a German word for worldview or perspective. Disagreements, differences or conflicts. Perception, the way in which something is understood or interpreted. Intellectual, relating to the ability to think and reason. Faculties, mental or physical abilities or powers. Diligence, persistence or careful effort. Delicate, sensitive or requiring care. Contemplate, to think deeply or consider. Consumed, completely occupied or influenced. Now, if the state known as irritation is chronic or happens frequently in your body, it becomes your normal state. The thing is, you become addicted to being irritated. More importantly, you become addicted to the body's chemicals released when you experience irritation. So, you actively seek out situations where you can feel irritable. We're talking about how often you are confined to the tense state known as irritation. If it's chronic, then you operate at the frequency of irritation. Consequently, almost all of your life experiences occur in a state of irritability. These experiences help us become aware of our body's automatic responses, but they do not reflect our true selves. To most people, self-knowledge means knowing their preferences like music, sports, food, and friends. It may also involve understanding their personality type, temperament, or recurring behavior patterns. While researchers acknowledge the influence of genetics on individual behavior patterns, they also recognize that the environment in which a person lives affects their genes and behavior. Therefore, the options for expressing behavior patterns are believed to be confined to the predefined definition of reality they have been taught. In other words, experts provide evidence for genetically predisposed behavior patterns, but the individual's environment, within which their behavior manifests, is already shaped by their indoctrinated perception of reality. When reality is defined based on someone else's design and the environment is seen as a natural validation of that design, there is no reason for the individual to question their perception of reality. As I mentioned earlier, it's crucial to read this material multiple times because repetition not only enhances your understanding but also activates your innate ability to comprehend beyond what is written. My goal in teaching this class is to help you discover for yourself the inner forces that masquerade as you, controlling your thoughts, emotions, and actions. I referred to these controlling forces as internal because that's how you will experience them as you progress through introspection. In reality, these forces are actually your own emotions, conditioned to serve the interests of the dominant culture by keeping you confined within a limited frequency. However, you are unaware of this confinement. Through introspection, or perceiving your inner self, we can indeed confirm that there are automatic responses to situations that do not involve our conscious decision-making. Although you can observe how emotions manifest internally, you may doubt your ability to modify how you feel. For example, as you pass by a certain street regularly, you notice a young beggar. Questions may arise in your mind, such as why they don't get a job. At this point, your ability to perceive how your thoughts and emotions are arising is called introspection. Vocabulary: chronic, ongoing or persisting for a long time. Addicted, dependent or unable to resist. Frequency, the rate at which something occurs. Confined, limited or restricted. Tense, a state of mental or physical strain. Reflect, think deeply or contemplate. Preferences, personal choices or favorites. Genetics, the study of heredity and inherited traits. Perception, the way in which something is understood or interpreted. Indoctrinated, taught or influenced to accept certain beliefs or ideas. Validation, the act of confirming or verifying. Repetition, the act of doing something repeatedly. Activate, to make something operational or functional. Masquerade, to pretend to be someone or something else. Comprehend, understand or grasp the meaning of. Confinement, restriction or limitation. Perceive, become aware of or recognize. Conscious, aware or deliberate. Decision-making, the process of making choices or decisions. Arise, to come into being or occur. The act of becoming aware of your thoughts and emotions during a specific life event is called introspection. It's also called introspection when you're aware of how your thoughts and emotions arise within you, regardless of external events. You can practice introspection as long as you're awake. This practice helps you recognize inner automatic responses that feel beyond your control, even though you believe you're responsible for them. For instance, someone who is known to be timid is seen as lacking in their personality. Timidity shows itself as an inability to effectively manage emotions in certain situations. There are forces at play that hinder the individual from properly assessing those situations. Through introspection, one can become aware of these forces residing within their physical body. Of course, it's challenging for a timid person to recognize these forces during a crisis. Interestingly, the same emotional experiences can be evoked simply by recalling the situation where timidity occurred. Many people tend to forget that instance, but by remembering and engaging in repeated introspection, the forces of timidity can be diminished. Additional explanation is needed for successful completion of this task. Timidity, along with other psychological disorders, is easily noticeable. However, the forces that hold dominion over us are much subtler. While we can perceive them, we become uncertain about our responsibility for their impulses. The question arises, how do we determine if these inner forces, which are automatic emotional responses to events or thoughts, are not of our own creation? In reality, these forces belong to us, it's just that they are under the control of other individuals. We're discussing those individuals who shaped our indoctrination. They may or may not be directly involved in the process of indoctrinating us to see the world through their perspective. As this indoctrination began during our vulnerable infancy, by the time we reach maturity, our perception of reality is merely the manifestation of our indoctrinated selves, deeply embedded in our consciousness. We become powerless to discern whether we are truly making our own choices. Everything and everyone around us reinforces the indoctrinated worldview. Thus, we become like lab rats within the world they have constructed in our minds. Vocabulary. Introspection, the act of examining one's thoughts and emotions. Manifest, to display or reveal. Dominion, control or power over something. Impulses, sudden strong urges or instincts. Challenging, difficult or demanding. Evoked, brought forth or elicited. Diminished, reduced or lessened. Subtle, not obvious or easily noticeable. Uncertain, unsure or doubtful. Determine, to ascertain or decide. Indoctrination, the process of teaching or influencing someone with specific beliefs or ideas. Perspective, a particular way of viewing or understanding something. Vulnerable, susceptible to harm or negative influence. Perception, the way in which something is understood or interpreted. Embedded, firmly fixed or implanted. Discern, to recognize or distinguish. Reinforce, to strengthen or support. Construct, to build or create. The process of indoctrination, serving the interests of a few while harming our lives, started a long time ago. The remnants of slavery have subtly influenced our consciousness. We are taught to interpret reality in a way that rarely prompts us to question our acceptance of subordinate roles in society. We have grown accustomed to psychological abuse, considering psychopathic behavior as normal. As you can observe, it takes patience and resilience to comprehend our situation, break free from their emotional manipulation, and reclaim our true selves. By doing so, these individuals will lose their psychological hold over us. Although I have already provided ample information in this lecture, I believe that allowing readers sufficient time to reflect on this knowledge will be more beneficial than adding more to it. Thank you, courageous individuals, and until we meet again. Goodbye. Vocabulary. Indoctrination, the process of teaching or influencing someone with specific beliefs or ideas. Detriment, harm or damage. Elusive, difficult to grasp or comprehend. Consciousness, the state of being aware or perceiving. Normalized, made to seem normal or accepted. Psychological, related to the mind and emotions. Assaults, attacks or acts of aggression. Liberate, to set free or release. Identity, one's sense of self or individuality. Psychological, related to the mind and emotions. Beneficial, advantageous or helpful. Ponder, to think deeply or consider. Fearless, without fear or bravery. Resilience, the ability to recover from difficulties or setbacks. Manipulation, controlling or influencing others in a clever or unfair manner. Hold, control or influence over someone. Ample, sufficient or plentiful.